Talofa, greetings and welcome to Tangaloa Tradition Study Center. It's the center where we study about Tangaloa. Tangaloa is the spirit god of the Polynesian people. And we do this study through the writings of our Polynesian writers, through the study of our Polynesian legends, because we believe through this literature we can hear the utterances of our ancestors, who, by the way, are the sages of our Polynesian brand of spiritual wisdom. Our study this week is based on a poem written by Robert Louis Stevenson called Under the Wide and Starry Skies. I'm your host. My name is Fulfatu Enari, and I am broadcasting from a bitty little island in the Pacific called Samoa. You probably haven't heard of Samoa, but you've heard of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the famous Hollywood actor who always introduced himself as half African American and half Samoan. So welcome to the other half of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. This is the place he calls home. Dwayne, who is the movie star, the Hollywood star, was in the movie Moana. Samoa is also a place that Robert Louis Stevenson calls home, because the last 4 years of his life, this is where he lived, this is where he died, and this is where he's buried. So when you come and visit us as a tourist, I suggest you take in the Robert Louis Stevenson Museum. Then after that, you take the hike up the mountain to Mount Vaya, to his resting place. And every time I thought of the poem, Under the Wide and Starry Skies, as being written about Samoa. Because if you listen to the first two lines, under the wide and starry skies, and when you get up there, and that is what you find. And by the way, the first time I took the hike, it took me 38 minutes. And when I got up there, I was buggered. I was no good. I didn't enjoy nothing. And then I asked my friends, how long did it take you to get up there? And they said, 25 minutes, 20 minutes. So I knew what I had to do was to better my time. The destination is still the same. The track is still the same. The distance is still the same, but I have to better my way of getting up there. And so when I get up there, I look around, and that's why I thought the poem was written about Samoa. Because you look up and you look around at the horizon, and I picture, if it's a beautiful night, then it's under the wide and starry skies. Dig the grave and let me lie. And I look behind me and there's a tomb, and I thought, this is what he wrote about. And then the next other two lines go, glad did I live. And I thought, of course he's happy he lived here, spent the last 4 years of his life here, because he looked all over the world for a place that was good for his health. He suffered from tuberculosis. And so he found Samoa, and he picked Samoa as his home. This is where he lived the last 4 years of his life. This is where he died, and this is where he's buried. And I thought, this is what he wrote about. But the last half, the fourth line of the first verse, I struggled with that, because it said, and gladly die. Glad did I live. I can relate to that. And gladly die. And that's the piece I struggled with. Because everybody is glad to be living, but nobody is glad to be dying. Everybody's happy to be alive. Nobody's happy to be dying. Everybody knows about living, but nobody knows about dying. And that's why I made it the title of our study this week, which reads, Learning about death is a lesson in living. That's the theme of our study this week. Learning about death is a study in living. And then I thought of when I first went up there, 38 minutes. I want to improve on my time, so when I get up there, I enjoy it. The destination is still the same. The distance is still the same. But I have to better my time and better the way I get to my destination. And then it dawned on me. Business plan. Business people. When they make a business plan, they identify their destination. They identify where they're going to be. If the business plan is for 5 years, they identify where they're going to be in 5 years. If the business plan is 7 years, they identify their goal, their ambition, their destination in 7 years. And when they get there, they work their way backwards, writing down all the notes and everything pertaining to the track, and take them all the way to their now. And when they get to their now, they look back on the track that they're going to work, and they're going to walk to get to their destination. And getting to their destination in the business plan, they write down a thing called SWOT. SWOT. S stands for strength, W stands for weaknesses, O stands for opportunities, and T stands for threats. So this is the plan that they have taking this walk. Let's say it's a 5-year plan. This is what they will have in their hand taking the 5-year walk. So whenever they run into any weaknesses, they use their strength to overcome it. Whenever they run into opportunities, they take advantage of it. Whenever they run into a threat, they either go around it, go under it, go over it, but it's not going to stop them getting to their destination. And it's that understanding that made me understand a little bit, maybe, about what Robert Louis meant when he said, and gladly die. He gladly lived and gladly died. And I thought, he gladly lived because he knew his destination. And we all have a calling. Each of us has a calling. And each of us was born with a talent, with a gift, with a divine know-how. Robert Louis Stevenson, his gift was writing. He was a poet. He was an author. And so I thought of our poets and our authors. They had the talent. They had the know-how. They had the gift. And they knew their calling. And I thought of the work of the late Lemalu Tatesimi, who wrote the poem Identity. Identity. And he speaks about knowing who you are and what you are. Learn about the English language, so not because you want to be English, but learn about the English language so you know more about being Samoan. Learn the Samoan language, not so you can speak the language, but you can know more of your Samoanness. It's about identity. And I was very happy and very proud because growing up, going to school, we studied poems written by Europeans. But when I was overseas, I heard that our poems written by our people is now being studied in school. So students and young people today read about our literature and learn from somebody who walked the footsteps they are taking right now, who were brought up the same way they were and speak the same language that they do. I look at the work of the late Etisa'anga, me the laborer. Eti is my classmate, and university entrance exam, Eti got 5 for biology, 7 for bookkeeping, 6 for, but he topped the English in the whole of Samoa, 89 in university entrance. He had a unique talent, he had a unique gift, and he used it for his calling. What was that? Spread the word. And now his work is studied by our kids in our schools, by our kids in New Zealand and Australia. I look at the work of Reverend Ruperake Petaia. What a poem. Kidnapped. I look at the Reverend writing the poem, putting on his spectacles. One eye of the spectacle is seeing the world through the world he was educated in, the European eye. The other eye is the Samoan eye, where he sees the world through the way he was brought up. And then he was torn between two lovers because his parents are in the middle and they tend to lean towards the right eye with the education and the teachings he received in school. He had a talent. He had his calling. Now he's a reverend. He's doing the same thing, influencing people with this talent, this gift that he was given. How did he do that? By answering his calling. And then the work of Lefionga Mawale Vao, Mr. Albert Wendt. I mean, his work is studied in the region. His work is studied in the world. His work is translated into so many languages. His work is made into movies. And so all these artists, all these writers, and all these gifted writers, they leave a paper trail, papers of knowledge, papers of arts in poetry, and writing. And these are the paper trails that they leave for generations to come. So when our children grow up, they are reading things that were written by people who were brought up the same way they were, speak the same language, and understand who they are and what we are. And so the work of Mr. Albert Wendt, now it's translated into movies. Now when people go and enjoy themselves, they sit there in a movie theater and see the life of Polynesia unfold in their writings. And from there, I began to understand what Robert Louis Stevenson meant when he said, "Glad did I live and gladly die." It's because when you answer your call and you use that gift and that talent that was given to you, that you were born with, to execute that calling, when you reach your destination, nothing is going to stop you from that smile, because you knew you are moving on to a new dimension of your evolution as a soul. And that's what we try to do with every study we do at Tangaloa Tradition. It's to get you closer to who you were when you were born. You were born spirit. It doesn't matter whether you're black or white, pink or blue or brown, whatever color you were born spirit. But it's because of many distractions in the world that we forget we are spirit having a human experience. And that's what we do here. We try to reconnect you to who you were when you were born. You were spirit. And when you get that, then you are able to make that connection with the spirit of the universe. And that's when you use your talent and your gift to answer your calling. And when you do that, you influence the life of people, especially young people. When you do that, you make a difference. And when you do that, you make the world a better place. And that's our study for this week. And that's what we do every week here at Tangaloa Tradition, is to connect you back to who you were when you were born, so you can connect through the spirit of the universe, so you can make a difference and make the world a better place. My name is Falifatu Enari, wishing you a pleasant week. Tofa Soifua.